Denise, ready? Yeah. Good morning. Welcome to the Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 Todd County Board of Commissioners meeting. Time is 9 o'clock. Roll call today. Commissioners to my left would be Commissioner Kircher, present. Commissioner Becker, present. Commissioner Erickson, absent. To my right, Commissioner Kneisel, present. And myself, Commissioner Newman, present. Along with the Auditor Treasurer Gaida, Coordinator Pelzer, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, good morning. Is there any amendments to the agenda?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Okay. With that, do we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Consent items.
Today we have the meeting minute approval for June 21st, 2022. Resignation social worker supervisor Lisa Grossinger. Appoint eligibility worker Darla Wilson. Appoint eligibility worker Jasmine Botella Rodriguez. Appoint child service supervisor Michaela Johnson. Hiring of Kevin McKeevely, land use planner, and Shattuck Hub Supper Club on sale, off sale, and Sunday liquor license.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
First item I have today under the Auditor Treasurer's topics are auditor warrants. Background is sent for your review. The recommendation is to approve the June 2022 auditor warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $2,168,598.08.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. If none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Next item I have then is the Commissioner warrants. Background is sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Commissioner's warrant with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $98,586.34.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion. If none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Next item we have then is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background is sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $34,224.30.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion? If none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
The last item I have today then is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background is sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $25,751.70.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second? Second by Becker. Discussion. If none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, 6-1, moving right along. County Ditch Inspector. Morning.
Good morning. I just have one agenda item today. Beaver bounty increase for county ditches. And the attachment, I sent a little bit of discussion on beaver bounties. Options: approve beaver bounty increase or do not approve beaver bounty increase. Recommendation: the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as ditch authority approves increasing the beaver bounty for trapping on the county ditch systems from $50 per beaver to, and I will let you guys decide on that, per beaver. The financial implications is the increase will be paid for by the county ditch systems as it always has been.
Okay. You've heard the request. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for $100. Move it up to $100. She's had a hard time getting anybody to trap for $50.
Yep.
Okay. So motion by Kneisel to increase the beaver fee to $100. Do we have a second to that?
I'll second it. And we had this discussion when we had our ditching meeting up by Staples, and the Wadena County Commissioners were, some of them that were in the ditch were also there. During that discussion, it was, even the price of gas, because they only get paid for is the price of the beaver, no mileage or anything like that. And it takes sometimes several trips back to a
Yep.
place to check on the traps.
And Mr. Chair, I did outline all that on the discussion. And then also of the 40 other ditch inspectors, the majority of them are over the $75 an hour, or $75 per beaver. So, and there are other counties that are also thinking, because they're having the same request from their trappers, is to have it increased.
Mr. Chair, if I may, how much have we spent per year for trapping, do you know?
I don't have that right now. I didn't bring that. I had, the last time that we asked for an increase, I think was in 2014, and I had it outlined then, what it was. We're kind of staying on the same, because there's some ditch systems that are just chronic and we're just trapping year round.
Yeah.
So, but I don't have that, sorry.
Okay. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, so that'll be the $100 then. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks. Adam,
Good morning.
morning.
My first item this morning is the Coon Point Final Plat, a subdivision request to establish a two-lot preliminary plat on parcel 15003870 in Leslie Township. Was submitted on April 12th. The preliminary plat was approved on May 17th by the Board of Commissioners with the following conditions: that the developer and future property owners must obtain appropriate permitting when necessary from other governmental agencies, including but not limited to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and the Sauk River Watershed District. And 2, all driveway accesses must be approved by the road authority. And 3, that the site is located in an agricultural district, and consequently, there will from time to time be site sounds and smells associated with the operation of farming. No lot owner shall bring action of law against any farming operation because of such farming activities, as long as such farming activity complies with state, federal, EPA, and Todd County ordinances. Planning and Zoning has completed the review of this application to determine it is ready for final platting. The option would be 1, to approve the final plat as presented, or deny the final plat. The recommendation would be approval of the final plat to establish Coon Point.
Okay, you've heard the request. I'd like to have a discussion before we vote on this.
Sure.
Okay. Did the developer get the okays from Leslie Township?
Well, this is here for final platting. There's no public noticing that goes to the final platting. If I recall correctly, in the preliminary process, we tried to get the township involved and never got a response from them. And in doing so, this is when we made those changes to the application to include that as part of the application up front.
In our ordinance that the board passed, it says that it's up to the developer to attend the township meeting and make sure that they get the okay from the township. Was that done?
Right, I don't think it was on this one, and that's why we made those changes to the application to get that up front. It had always been a part of our dirt team review previously, before I was here, and in the early parts. It was always just part of the dirt team review so that everybody was on site meeting at the same time, including the county, Sauk River in this case, DNR, the township, anybody else that wanted to have input on it. We invited in the dirt team review to get that all up front at a single time. But we had changed that as part of a series of applications we had here to include that as part of the application, that they meet with the township prior to, and then we do the dirt team stuff separate.
But I've been requesting this for almost a year now, that the developer gets approval from the township. We're not the road authority,
Right.
so,
This particular one had all public roads. There's no new road building or anything as a part of it.
but still the
and that's-
driveways.
Sure.
And
Understood.
the driveway location, the size of the culverts,
Yep.
all that, and if the developer does not share that with the people that are buying that, it puts us in a, why, yeah.
So we included that as a condition number 2, that all the driveway accesses must be approved by whoever the road authority is. We include that quite often in most developments. And again, we made these changes to the application to include that up front.
But we're passing it, you know what I'm saying? This is the final,
Right.
and we're passing this, but we have no idea,
No idea of,
the township being notified.
they were notified in the public process. They are sent to the chair and the clerk on every single development. I've reached out to them many times via phone call and email on top of that. But now, instead of doing that, they will get the public notices just the same, but we included it as part of the application process, so before we even get it, they're gonna meet with the township now.
But our ordinance requires them to go to the township and
Right.
get township approval, even in the preliminary.
Right,
So-
and we're catching that now instead of doing it in the dirt team process, which had always been done before.
Have you ever talked to the townships? I mean, you said you sent letters, whatever. Has the townships ever, have you been in contact with them, personally been in contact?
In most cases, the townships get back to us with any
case,
comments.
have you been in
In this
con-
case, I don't think I ever got any comments back from the township at any point.
Mr. Chair, we seem to have had problems with this township in, before on a lot of plots, and they seem to do not want to either cooperate with the planning and zoning office or respond to them. And I don't think it's up to us to start pulling their legs and fingers to get an answer from them. They're adults, they're elected to an office. They should be responding to requests, either written or whatever, and they're not. And we should not be here defending them if they're not doing their job, because they're elected to be township officers. So I know what you're saying, Randy, but
It's in the ordinance.
I
Dave.
know, but this township has just been very uncooperative with planning and zoning, and we run into this every time, and they're elected to be officers in their township, and they should be taking responsibility to cooperate or even discuss the issue with planning and zoning. We can't expect these guys to be clawing and climbing at this township when the other townships are responding properly. I just have an
Did
issue with this.
Candota approve the next one?
I actually they came in and actually wanted to meet with me directly, and I
Candota
met
did.
with them, yes.
Okay.
And
Did they sign off?
What's that?
Did they sign off on it?
They did not sign off on it. We didn't have that as a part of our application, but they came in. I can't say for sure if the applicant met with them in advance or not, but they did meet with me once they got the public notice. And then on the third one also, I believe those applicants did meet with the township and they got the public notice, and I had a phone call conversation with that township also.
So as we go forward and someone buys a plot, who's going to take care of their driveway and their culvert? I mean, who's going to be, are they going to contact you? Are they going to contact the township? Or do they know who to contact?
They would contact whoever the road authority is. So in many
Which would have to be the township.
in this case, the township, sometimes it's a county road.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go back to that first one then. What's the decision? Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
By Knizel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion? No discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Okay. Next one, Pine Tree.
Okay, Pine Tree Acres final plat, a subdivision request to establish a one-lot preliminary plat on parcel 1400160000 in Candota Township was submitted on April 12th, and the preliminary plat was approved on May 17th with the following conditions. Number one, the developer and future property owners must obtain appropriate permitting when necessary from other governmental agencies, including but not limited to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and the Sauk River Watershed District. Two, all driveway accesses must be approved by the road authority and shall only be connected to Akelea Drive. And three, the site is located in an agricultural district, and consequently there will be from time to time the site sounds and smells associated with the operation of farming. No lot owner shall bring action of law against any farming operation because of such farming activities, as long as such farming activity complies with state, federal, EPA, and Todd County ordinances. Planning and zoning has completed a review of the application to determine that this is ready for final platting. The option would be to approve the final plat as presented, or two, to deny the final plat, and the recommendation would be approval of the final plat to establish Pine Tree Acres.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion. Again, on this one too, you know, if the townships should discuss this at one of their board meetings and vote on it, so it should be in their minutes if they approve this.
Well, the township
Yeah,
can,
but it should. That's how the process goes.
and I believe that they did discuss it at a meeting. I don't know what the township would be voting on, because even if they don't approve of it, the county has the authority to approve or deny it. They discuss it and provide input to the application and what the county can have as conditions so that we can address concerns of the township. But if they don't approve it, I don't know how that affects the process at the county level.
We're not the road authority.
Right, they could approve access points and culvert sizes and things, but the actual development itself is in the county's hands.
Okay. All right, any further discussion?
Yeah, I would like to have that come up at a work session sometime, because I don't totally agree with what you're telling us.
We can make that happen.
Okay, would appreciate it.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And lastly, the Birch Lake Hills Second Edition Final Plat. A subdivision request to establish a two-lot preliminary plat on parcels 0300222301 and 0300222302 in Birchdale Township was submitted on April 12th, and the preliminary plat was approved on May 17th. With just one condition, that the developer and future property owners must obtain appropriate permitting when necessary from other governmental agencies, including but not limited to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and the Sauk River Watershed District. Planning and zoning has completed the review of this application and determined that this is ready for final platting. The option would be approve the final plat as presented or to deny the final plat, and the recommendation would be approval of the final plat to establish Birch Lake Hills Second Edition.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
Have discussion, Mr. Chair? Why aren't the other stipulations the same as the other one as this one here?
This one actually is not connected to a township road. It's
Okay.
it's one of those public, privately maintained roads. I did have a conversation with the township. They discussed it at a meeting and had no concerns. And it's not really in an agricultural area. It's very residential and lots of trees and hills and stuff in there.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm assuming motion by Kircher. Is
Yes.
there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Standing reports.
The only thing I have to report is election judge training was completed in June, and so we're moving right along with the election process for the summer. Mobile home taxes were sent out in June and are due August 31st. And so we're starting to see those come in, and we're still in the process of finding a full-time and a part-time. So if you know of anybody, send them our way.
Okay. All right, commissioners. I just have one I need to address. I've been approached by some of the constituents in the Osakis area asking me if the rumor is true that the state of Minnesota, MnDOT, is gonna be turning State Highway 27 over to Todd County when it's done. I have not, I'm serious. I have not heard anything. Lauren, could you add to that?
That's, when we spoke about it last week, that's the first I ever heard that rumor. And any meetings I have attended or been a part of, I've never even heard that as a discussion topic, so.
So, I'm
As far as
thinking.
we're concerned, no, it's not.
And that's what I thought, you know, if they were even thinking about it, they would at least approach somebody, but,
Any discussions up
yeah.
before this?
So, yeah, just to remind the constituents, no, State Highway 27 is gonna remain a state road as far as we're concerned.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Chris?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I have nothing.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll take 5, and then we'll start the work session. Todd County Board of Commissioners, Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, work session. The time is 9:25. Today with us, we have Long Lake Higgins, Megan Jacobs, to discuss the issues with what is going on with Long Lake and Higgins. Megan, you want to come up and grab a microphone, pull it close to you? Okay, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. So our lake, I have some handouts for you guys. Okay. Would you like me to hand this out now? Okay.
Chris can hand them out.
Okay. So it's just a handout kind of showing you the top, like, main issues that we're having. So essentially, our lake is just to the east of the north side of Sauk Lake, 1 mile. And the original high water mark was set by the DNR in 1996, and we are currently 5 feet above that original high water mark that was set. And so over the years, the water has gone up and up and up, and we, like, when the ice came off this year, we were at our highest. And then since the ice has come off, it's gone up another like 7 or 8 inches. And so there is quite a bit of damage, and the shoreline is eroding, and there's bogs floating all over the place, and there's dead trees, and just kind of all sorts of damage that's happening. We've been lucky enough to have Commissioner Randy Newman come and check out what the damage is, and kind of for the last 3 years. So he's been aware of this and helping, and we had Representative John Poston come out, along with, he held like a stakeholders meeting. So we had representatives from Todd County Soil and Water, Commissioner Newman was there, we had the U.S. Geological Service was there, Army Corps of Engineers, pretty much everyone except for the DNR, which he was aware. He just was on a fishing trip in Canada. And so he sent his blessing and said that he would try to be available if there were any specific questions to him. But Mark Anderson from the DNR is our area hydrologist, and he's been a part of this process for the last 3 years as well. The big thing from the DNR is that they think that, they've run tests on our water, and our water is very clean. So if you have any wood, you can go ahead and knock on it. But we don't have any invasive species as of right now. And our water is really clean and good. And so he said that he has no problems with, if we went to Sauk Lake with some of our excess water, which moving water from one place to another is a really big deal. And he has no issues with it. And he is confident that it could be permitted through the DNR. So that was a huge hurdle. That seems like it's a good one. Good news, I guess. And in front of you is just some of the highlights of the information of about 25 property owners, about our location, the bogs moving around, dead trees, that kind of stuff. So just through those highlights, that's kind of the main thing. We've had 2 articles in the Sauk Center Herald about our high water solution. The first one was in March, and that was right when the ice had come off, and then, and actually a little bit before, and then again in June, because it went up another 7 inches past that. So it was kind of an update article, if you will, because it went up so much in just a short period of time. So really what we're here today for is the residents all pitched in our own money, and we've put in to do a feasibility study. And we hired Widseth from Alexandria to do a feasibility study, and I have the information in the feasibility study available for you guys if you'd like to look at it. But essentially they came up with 5 different solutions, and then they zeroed in on the one they thought was the most feasible, which was a northwest route towards Sauk Lake. And the idea of the solution would be a pipe down in the ground with like a outlet so that you could slowly but surely lower the water and then lower it to that original high water mark that the DNR set in 96, and then just consistently keep it there. So as water would, you know, say you get a really wet year, you could let some out, or we could just keep it within us for however long, which we have for up until now. So we've talked to the Big Sauk Lake Association, and they seem to be on board. If there's ever, you know, if we were to ever lower it, you know, after this, we would contact them and get their okay and their permission and all of that, and then open it up and lower it those 6 inches or whatever we would need to do. But that's kind of the idea, is to do an initial draw, and then essentially I feel like we would be able to maintain for quite a long time just on our own. But that 5 feet of water we would need to get out of there. The visual that you see right there is like a topographic map, and it's showing that green low area where the red line is going up straight up to the north, that's Sauk Lake, where it would go, where it says, you know, 9,900 or 9,500. That would be where the pipe would be installed, and you can kind of see the very top of our lake in the bottom right hand corner. And so you would see that's the route that pipe would be laid, and it's just showing that's the lowest elevation, so there would be the least amount of digging, which would be the cheapest version of that. So really, we're just here to see if there's any sort of help whatsoever. How can we fix this problem? This is Representative Poston, and all those different stakeholders are around that table, and then you can see there's some residents kind of on the left-hand side, just kind of listening in to ask questions. And this was actually taken right at the beginning of the meeting, and so there was a lot more people who showed up after this. So, but yeah, so that's kind of the most of it. Is there any other pieces that I should make sure I hit?
I think you're covering that pretty good.
I'm trying to go through your slide, but I didn't know if you were.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So this is, we just kind of focused in on this one resident, which the property owners are here. But this is 11814, which is all of this is in Todd County. And they have water in their basement. And at the beginning, right when the first article was taken before the ice was off, the water was right up to the door, you know, but just not touching, but almost touching kind of a thing. And then the water's gone up 7 inches since then. So now the water is like 3 inches up throughout their entire basement. So they've got minnows and stuff floating around and swimming around in their basement, which is probably not the best. This is what it used to look like. So we had called the sheriff's department to just ask, you know, hey, with all the boats going by, our lake is big for fishermen, and the waves would go all the way to the back, and it's eroding, and you know, just all the way around. But again, we're just focusing on this one because we have the most like information and pictures. So the Flurkeys have owned this since 1988, and you can see that's what it used to look like. So when we called the sheriff's department, their answer to us was, well, you shouldn't have built so close to the lake. And their answer was, well, actually, this is what it looked like. It was actually further. This isn't right when they bought. So this is what it looked like probably in 1990, I'm guessing. That picture? Oh, okay. So yeah, would you think is the 90s then, when this picture was taken?
But that water's 10 feet high right now.
Yeah.
The fire pit, we used to sit around the fire pit.
Yeah, so you can see those rocks kind of in the middle of the picture. So they used to sit around that. So the water in this picture is actually up from when they bought.
Okay.
So that's where the frustration comes from, is when people say, oh, you should have just not built so close or not bought one so close to the lake. Well, when it looked like this and now it's in their basement, like that's a big difference, and it's really frustrating. Yeah, so then now this is more of what it looks like now. And so you can see that concrete step at the bottom has water splashing over the top of it. And then, like I said, it's 4 inches all the way through. And I think the next picture shows it inside. Yep, so there's like a bathroom on the left-hand side, and there's water in there, and it's going up the drywall and whatever else. But those are the two articles and some pictures. So the pictures that you guys just saw, I have blown up in physical form, if you guys would like to look at any of these. But essentially, this is just showing what the water used to look like, if that makes sense. And that's it. So we just focused on this one because we kind of had the before and the after. But like Representative Poston really wanted to come in and see it firsthand. So that's why we had a site visit. And so we jumped on the pontoon after the meeting and went around the entire lake, and he was, you know, wow, look at this. And the landing used to be amazing with like a turnaround and you could back in. And now that whole turnaround is gone. Their lower parking is gone. There's a couple of spots up towards the top that are pretty safe. But otherwise, I mean, that gets filled up within 3 boats. That's filled. And so like I said, our lake is pretty popular with fishing, especially in the springtime, or the major fishing openers, or, you know, that kind of stuff. And so then you have people parking on County Road 100, and there's a big turn right there. And so right on the corner, there's boats on both sides of the lake, or both sides of the road. And so it's just really, it's changed quite a bit, kind of drastically all the way around the lake. So this is just one example. But if you guys came and wanted to see a site visit and go on the pontoon, we'd be happy to have you so you could kind of see all the way around and all the different people impacted. But all of these landowners, like the only positive part that I keep saying is that all the landowners have come together and pitched in their own money, which I know you guys know. It's kind of a hard thing to do, to get people to say, yeah, I'll give you a check. Let's do this, right? So they pitched in their own money to hire for the feasibility study, and us coming together is the only positive thing. So
So
Do
the,
you know how much it's gonna cost to pipe?
yeah, so the feasibility study was done in 2021, and construction costs were a lot different then, right? You know, things have changed quite a bit since then. So at the time they said about $1 million, but it was, you know, with prices of diesel and material costs have gone through the roof. So we were just kind of guessing 1.3, but we have no idea as far as, you know, we haven't gotten it bid now. We got it bid then. So we'd have to get it rebidded and.
Mr. Chair, I guess my question is what authority do we have when we're talking water here? And you're talking the bogs, that's an issue, the DNR, they're almost sacred to the DNR, you can't hardly touch them. And I don't know what our authority here would be. The no wake zone, if we would establish, how big is this lake? How many acres is it?
So it was 200.
225 before.
Yeah. So prior to the water going up 5 feet, it was 225. So
I'll ask the sheriff, Steve, does the commissioner of, or the DNR have to okay the wake zone thing, or can we?
Go through a process.
It does, yeah.
Temporary ones, but they're really not enforceable.
Yeah. So if we would ask them to do, or have you asked the DNR to do a no-wake zone out there?
we have not, no,
Okay,
because they said it was more so like Todd County Sheriff's Department.
no. 'Cause the sheriff has no authority to establish a no-wake zone, but I think the DNR can give the sheriff the authority to do that.
That goes to the DNR and
Right.
final decision to a board, I believe.
Okay.
So that's just a suggestion.
Sure, absolutely.
And the Sauk River Watershed District, what do they have over this, Randy?
well, you guys were at the meeting, the last meeting.
Yeah, we went to their last board meeting, and it sounded like we would have to get like a permit through them, but that's essentially it. And they said that it is, as long as it's through a county, that any fees or anything with the permit that would need to happen would be waived, because it's through the county. So if you did it like through a different entity, there would be fees with the permit.
If I could. I've got a couple questions, and more directed maybe to our soil and water people. Wetlands around the area, around the lake? Is there not?
There's a few wetlands.
Okay, and they have not been disturbed? You know, they've not been filled in? I guess what I'm looking for, yes, exactly right. What happened? Is there an outlet, was somehow tampered with through the process?
Years ago, years and ago, if it did outlet, there's a road, and you guys would have to help me, what the name of that road is. That might have blocked it. What? Could you just go to the mic?
Oh.
Sorry about that. Just so we can get
Come
it
on
on
up,
the
Deja.
recording.
Yeah.
I think County Road 100 is what you're talking about.
And then the little access road.
Would that be Bluebird?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so, there are two roads, many, way before my time, that were established that may have blocked some sort of, outlet or reach to a wetland, to help drain it, but it's even before her time for sure that those were in place. But this isn't where they developed wetlands, situation. There are wetlands where that can absorb some of it. This is just increased beyond the capacity of any wetland because there's no natural outlet.
Okay. Then my next question would be, is this, all of this is located within Todd County, correct?
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So my history, I was out there probably in 2019. The water was, oh God, I'm gonna say at least maybe 10 feet from the house at that time. So it has really come up since then.
Probably 2 feet vertically.
Yep.
Since then. Yep.
There is a boathouse on the north end, and that is, the water is halfway up into that right now. So when we did take the pontoon tour, we were physically driving over points that used to be dry land. So it has really increased in size to the south. And then when we were there, Dr. Don Rosenberry from the U.S. Geological Survey team come in, and he basically said that that area was in a high concentration of participation within the last, 10 years? That's what he said.
Yep.
So, has it been? I don't know. He said it was. What has changed? Why is this lake
Yeah.
rising up?
And he said it could go up, it could go down. You know, you can't predict the future, but he said that if it were him, he would be looking for a solution. So,
Deja, the Soil and Water, do they have any funding or anything available to help with things like this or not, or?
To this capacity, no, because this is a flood situation. It's not really a land and resource, a resource concern. It's more of a capital concern for these people and the landowners. So we would have to be able to prove that it is a resource concern, with the lake being great. We could do some shoreline fixes. Right now, we wouldn't want to because they don't have any shoreland, right? But that's what our capacity is, and as just a support for them to go through with us. Sauk River Watershed District does have the capacity to handle capital type things through different grants. From my conversations with John at this point, they'd be entertaining it with a petition, though. They want to see the public support it. They did not pass through resolution through their board. You know, you can pass things two ways, one through resolution and one through petition and then resolution. The board down there was not comfortable without having public support to help support this project. But they would be comfortable with public support.
and the public support petition requires 25 people. And we have 25 property owners, so I could get 25 signatures today. I guarantee it.
And John did say that they highly think that they could support that.
And if the county board passed a resolution supporting that, would weigh a little more?
If you wanted to pass a resolution supporting Sauk River Watershed?
Petition, no, the petition.
Yes, if you, you wouldn't, it's up to you guys whether you'd want to be an actual petitioner, but you could pass resolution supporting the petition. If you were an actual petitioner, there is a bond requirement for that. So the county would be, I think it's about $10,000 that you would need.
No, I'm just speaking to, if they did a petition and it was signed by the property owners, that the county board would pass a resolution supporting the petition. My suggestion is too, that maybe as a board, we should go out and just tour it and take a look
I
at it,
would-
so we're well
That would
aware
be a
of
good
what's
idea.
going
I
on there.
agree.
Yeah,
We
you
would
should
love to
really
have
see
you.
it.
Yeah.
The pontoon's gassed up, ready to go.
Yeah, and I think the main thing is the constituents, you know, they're taxpayers and they're frustrated. I understand where you guys are coming from, and it's like, we need to figure out a resolve for this. Yeah, so we just need to keep working together and moving it forward.
Well, I don't think it's possible without grant money because 25 property owners couldn't afford the
No,
amount of money that you're looking at to take care of the issue, so you'd need some kind of grant support to do that.
okay. Anybody else wanna speak at all?
Megan handles it well.
A good job. Any other questions?
Okay, do you guys have any other questions for us?
How can we arrange the tour then? What should we?
Yeah.
Tris?
Mr. Chair, I can take a look at the schedules and work with Megan to get that,
Good.
actually scheduled.
Absolutely.
Okay. Then all five of us be there.
And it can be during the day. I'm a teacher, so I have summers off, so if it works for you guys to get there at 9 or 10 or 1, or, I mean, whatever, it can be during the day, so, or it can be after.
Thank you.
All right.
Do you guys want any of these, like the articles or anything like that?
This is very good.
Yep, we got it.
Okay, perfect.
Very good. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dave.
Mike?
Morning.
Morning.
How's everyone today?
Good.
Over here too?
That's okay, I think, right there.
Okay, I'm here this morning just to kind of review this work session for a conceptual design for the layout of the transfer station in Browerville. This site was designed by Stantec after various meetings with our committee and with our staff. This is the one that we have come to an agreement is the most beneficial for the upcoming project. We're looking for feedback from the commissioners and of course with Rod being gone, but at least now we can just get through and see if there's anything that you guys would like to ask or comment on. Our main goal now is to forward this through Stantec Engineering so they can start doing site development and getting into the numbers of agricultural and architectural design. Right now, they're just kind of at hold, waiting for our decision on if this is really where we want to be. I know Gary and Barb have seen it, being on the committee. Randy, I don't know if you've seen the actual, this is the actual final one, but
Okay.
so this is kind of where we're at, coming off in 71. The traffic flow is in the green section. And our main goal, if you guys are familiar with the existing site, is really trying to eliminate the cross traffic and limit our liability with the residential traffic to get them removed from the commercial and the tipping scales. So they're just using the green traffic flow to go through. Okay, thank you. So as you can see off in 71, we'll come in. This part of the road is a parking lot. So if vendors come in and want to review and come into the office, they come here, but everything is scaled through here. Residentials will come, scale, get a ticket, wait. They can come through the building and dump, whether it's garbage or landfill products, or they can come right through here and use, these are roll-offs along here for recyclables. The roll-offs, they do not have to scale for, they can just come and then leave the facility. But here, this is how we get paid through, is any of the recyclables or the weight of demo gets paid out. They come back in, get an empty weight, and then they pay at the office. So they can come around here, access the office, pay, and then leave. The design of the building is, as you can see, the existing site on the upper left. This is the layout of the conceptual design of the new facility. So our trucks would dump into here, load out, and this is where our garbage comes in during the course of the day. And they will use a remote printer, serial printer. Out here is the other scale, and that's just sent via to the office, and they'll swipe a card. We're not sure what type of loadout system that we're gonna use yet until we get into the architectural design of things. But that's really to alleviate that issue of all that cross traffic. Because right now, everything gets dumped here into this facility. And this is the office door right here. So as you can see, there's times it takes 20 to 30 minutes. We're tying up commercial traffic along with residential. There's a lot of liability with backing injuries, contacts, and that kind of thing. So that's a really big goal that our committee wanted to address right away, was to alleviate, and this is a good way to do it, is just to get rid of that the residential right away. So. And this area here will be basically for containment ponds that will be established. Sewer, we're hoping to come in right along here. There is sewer run through here, and the sewer line will be coming into that facility somewhere in there. This area here is still gonna be a staging area. We use this area mainly for demo right now and also for shingles. Right now, our shingle capacity is we've worked with a contract that you guys have granted, was for recycling shingles to an asphalt facility in Staples, and that's worked out really well. We only keep a couple loads there as we do it. They come and pick them up, so that's been really good. So this building, once this design is done, this will just purely be all for recycling. So. Comments, questions?
Up on the hill now, where is this at? Where would they dump all this crap? Is that gonna be eliminated or not?
Yep, pretty much. The landfill, this here,
Yeah,
we're gonna gate this, and all our compost that was up front will be here. So this will purely be brush and compost only.
so that won't be out front anymore then?
Nope. And the MPCA, their main long-term goal is, the reason for if you slide back. That's all right. These control roll-offs, so we will, like our white goods that are up there and your recyclable steel and tins will all be in bins. And as they fill, and the main reason MPCA is going that way, they don't want any stormwater contact with product lying on the ground, because that's where your leaching comes into and contaminating groundwater. So we're gonna expand this amount of roll-off dumpsters and use that to maintain all our waste, that instead of being placed on the ground and letting snow and rain get to it all the time, and then only taking care of that recycled product twice a year, it'll be done on a lot more regular basis.
Mike, we also talked the other day about the sentence to serve
Yep.
wood. And as we're looking for maybe a new or different facility in Eagle Bend because of the storm, they would almost like to see the wood moved back to somewhere where sentence to serve could take care of it and out of that area.
Correct.
So it's something for us to keep in mind as we're thinking about
Kathy,
that project.
Kathy has some new information about
Okay,
our
but just,
insurance coverage, so we'll talk about that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a discussion the other
That's
day
out
we
front
did
now,
have.
right? The
Yes,
wood?
it is. Yeah,
Some of the wood is here
Yeah.
and some is here.
yeah.
So when people bring like brush, they won't go up to that hill, or will they?
Yes,
They will
They
still
still
have
will-
access to drive up to this.
That'll be
hill.
the new area where you take it up there, right?
the brush will go up to here. Still will go up here.
But
Oh,
I'm
there-
saying, like, a person myself, if I bring a
Yeah.
trailer of, like, limbs and stuff, you're gonna allow us to drive up that hill
Yep,
to dump up there?
yep.
Okay.
Yep. And the big advantage of, continuing the roll-offs is, and you guys, you've been part of the county for a long period of time, is we have so much contaminated waste being dumped up where the brush is, because we have no way to control it. Here, everything is controlled by the office. We have a lot better way to control everything from this area here and keeping residential contained. And then we don't have all this contaminated. We spend a lot of time going back up here and picking and bringing product back, mattresses, TVs, everything under the sun. So that's our main goal with that is, and the community services, and especially with the amount of storms, I mean, we have a lot of brush. We're looking at, and the committee's aware of it, we're looking at wood chipping it. We haven't advertised it yet, but we have composting piles, and I think it's just about half gone. And before, we were, from what I understand, just because I'm new here, they were burning a lot of the brush. And I know we've had problems with fires getting away, so we're really gonna try to chip it all and sell it as cover for gardens and stuff, and it's really been accepted really well. And the word is starting to get out. We haven't even advertised, so I think they're gonna come probably sometime in end of July, and he can process about 300 yards an hour with chipping, light brush. And then we've separated the logs, and then the logs the SDS can have, sentence to serve. But, and at $5 a yard, you know, we can make a good viable product out of it instead of burning.
So Mike, show me the traffic flow to get to the hill.
Yeah, my thought exactly.
Yep. So basically, the residential would come through here, and if they're gonna load brush, they're just gonna come, once they come up to the office, they're gonna come back, they'll make this turn, and they'll just follow this right here. And then we're not quite sure how much of this is gonna turn into green space. This is actually asphalt now, and that's gonna maintain there because we're gonna service these roll-offs and dump up into here, some of it, so, and exchange them. Our extra roll-offs will go here and some along this wall here. And the other important thing is we were trying to contain as much of the facility here as we have viable property owners along here, and we have a lot of wind contamination. So we're trying to keep as much of the garbage stuff up in this corner for the northwest wind. It's really protected, of course, from this tree line here. And I don't really see a lot of possibility of expansion of building down the road, but there was some design of the committee seen early on where this facility was gonna be located here, but we were more concerned about the contamination and the property owners to the south.
So how much of this area total is fenced in?
It's fenced all the way around,
With
but
what-
it's just a wire fence, so there's nothing there to contain it. It has been brought up to the committee that we would like to do, you know, a full security type of fence along this line. So that, it just depends upon, we just don't know because of the amount of bidding. It came up in at 5.2 million is the estimate from Stantec, but we have no idea until we get into the hard architectural design and get numbers. So some of that, but that's all, the fencing and that kind of stuff is all small, but it's a major concern for us here on this line with the property owner, because we do get quite a bit of wind damage off these roll-offs.
Well, I just think it should be a safety, security issue
Yeah.
too, to keep, you know, trespassers off and
Yep.
obviously litter from leaving our facility, but I don't know how, what do we have, 40 acres there or more? Or less?
I think it's about 40, if I remember right.
So, I was thinking more to fence up around the buildings to the road that goes up to the hill. If you, right there, if you cut across, right in there,
Yep.
then there'd be a gate there and,
Yep, that's what we'd like, and they're gonna change this trajectory. That is part of the scope when they do the site prep. Once they do the borings of the site layout and figure out what material's under there and what we have to move, they're actually gonna turn this road at an angle and make kind of a curve, just cause it's a 6% slope.
yeah.
It's pretty dangerous, so they're gonna change this trajectory of this road coming in and
Yeah,
laying it out
it's
like
quite a
that.
little hill to climb there.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
If I can ask also, the residential part where they go in,
Yep.
they weigh, and then they go around and drop.
Yep.
Now, is there enough room for vehicles and trailers to park, to go all the way around again, to get to the office to pay? That's the hassle we see. I'm a avid user.
Yep, yep.
And it is a cluster of traffic where it is now,
Yeah.
and it's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
So did they take this into I wasn't in any of these committees.
Yep.
But did they take into consideration
Yep,
that
and,
points? Because it seems like you're going around a lot of circles, and then where do you park your vehicle to go in?
Right.
Just asking. I'm being the dumb blonde.
nope, nope. And that's the reason when we talked about, some of the committees, some counties just do a lump sum bid. So if you come in with a pickup load of, I got 5 bags of garbage, they just give you a set fee. They don't weigh anything. The downfall of that is now when we're processing our garbage and our waste out, everything gets weighed to the incinerators and such. So if your garbage is heavy, like it's been a lot of rain, we're losing revenue. So we're paying for that waste when we're just charging you a flat rate. So the advantage of weighing everything is that we don't have any complaints from customers either, because everything is, well, here's your ticket, this is what you had. The downfall of it is you have to generate a scale, and you do have more contact with that individual. But no, they got a lot of space here, and the nice thing with the drive-through, you got a lot of space to get through here, so you're gonna just quickly dump, and then this gets pushed off. This is a retaining wall here, that this product will be pushed out. And the big thing is they'll come here and go to the dumpsters, so the people that are just entering the building, that's where they're gonna go, come back and get a weight, and then you'll come off and scale here and get their ticket and pay.
Well, you gotta scale twice, so that's what causes some of the issue, but.
Yeah,
Now, do you have room for, because I get to some of these areas and I've got a 16-foot trailer.
Yep.
They're trying to turn a 16-foot trailer around in
Yep.
some of these places. Is there gonna be room for that?
Yep, they designed this to make that with roughly like a 70-foot long gooseneck trailer with a pickup.
Okay.
That's where you see this cul-de-sac little expansion here, is to make that curve.
Because that can be the biggest pain when you're coming in. is
Yep,
You're pulling a
absolutely.
trailer and.
Yep. Yep. And that's where, like Denise says here, and this is where, we've all seen it, and I mean, me being new to the facility, I mean, it really gets bottlenecked right there. I mean, it's such a hazard, and it's
Very dangerous.
yeah, and you lose a lot of process time, and we have times where we're trying to process garbage there, and, we get an elderly gentleman or somebody that comes in, and we help them unload, but it just takes time, and all of a sudden now we got 3 refuge trucks, Long Prairie Sanitary waiting to dump, plus 2 more customers, and then they're trying to get back on the scale, and everything happens from this 70-foot mark right here to there. So this is gonna, this way, the commercial and our trucks, they don't even access none of this area. They just come right up through here, back in, we're loading out, and the garbage comes in and dumps in here.
That will be a blessing, because I've been out there where those big trucks are backing in.
Yeah.
People are there, they're dumping the garbage, kids are running, I'm like standing there going,
Yeah.
oh my. So that is a plus that
Yeah.
they'll be separate from.
And I know Paul Parrish is the one who operates this bay here. He does a really good job. Some people get frustrated because he tells them, but it's like, otherwise you always have somebody that just wants to get going and they hurry up and they squeeze in between. But he does a really good job controlling that, because, it really is very dangerous at some times. I mean, it's why people let their kids run around out here. You see it every once in a while. And there is a lot of traffic, because everything enters down this road and comes right by here. And it's pretty tight right in here in between that span. So everything that's going up on the hill right now, all our garbage, all our recyclables come right in this little, that's probably about 50 feet wide only. So,
Mike, how many bins are you going to have in your recycling area that people can?
this here,
e-
the roll-offs,
Yes, how many roll-offs?
we're looking at about 15, somewhere
On
approximately.
a weekend, they could fill up pretty fast.
Yep,
So.
yep.
Because I was even thinking, if a small amount of brush and that type stuff, if you couldn't have a roll-off instead of having everybody truck up to the hill.
And that is, the tires and the tin will go here, and we are thinking about maybe placing roll-offs here for the small brush, but we do have a lot of contractors that come in and dump brush.
Yeah.
They'll go up to the
They'll go
hill.
up to the hill, but the normal person
Yep.
would possibly be able to dump on the bottom
Yep.
side.
And we have discussed an area right here, expanding this maybe with a little bit of asphalt, and then making a bunker system for FOB sales of the mulch and the wood chips, so then they don't have to go up in here. And we can just fill that ourselves as it gets low. So there's some more tweaking to do, but as far as what we're after right now is just to get the architectural design started, And then they're gonna do the geological study and the hydrology study of where the building lays and get borings done and all that. That's really what we're after. So,
So Mike, paint and chemicals, that'll still remain down in that one building, or,
nope, that HHW will be right here.
okay?
And that's what's really nice about having it here. They can, the ones that wanna go through, they can dump HHW at the same time as dumping on the tipping floor, or they can come on this side and service these. And these will put in, we are gonna have what I would always call a curb area. So if they're dumping tires, the elderly and stuff, the bins will be the heavy equipment stuff, like for the appliances. They'll be able to just walk right into the bin, so they're not trying to reach in and throw in. There'll be an end open one, so we can service that with a skid loader or forklift and drive, so they don't have to try to throw something inside.
Okay.
You
Let's
can
say I
just-
got an old refrigerator, where does it go?
A refrigerator? That would be in one of these roll-offs right here.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'm alone, how do I get my refrigerator up into that roll-off?
That's what they are an end capped, so the door will be open, and you just place it right on the floor. If they're unable to get, then we just push it in with a skid loader.
Okay.
So it'll be a drive-in type of system, bunk system there on the end of it.
Question I have, this is a little off the topic, but Long Prairie just kind of recently took over all of Todd County.
Yep.
They got, and I've been a fan of recycling, but on the top of the recycling bin that we get from them, it's got pictures of what you can recycle. But then I look at your resource, or our Todd County resource magazine, and what you have for recyclables is a little bit not consistent with what they have on the picture on
Right.
top of their.
Yep.
So I guess I was always gonna ask you, how do we get people to know exactly what a recyclable is and how to prepare it for recycling?
That's part of our survey information that we're trying to get back, and we're trying to work with Long Prairie Sanitary, so we're both on the same page.
I was gonna say, you're not on the same page, so.
No, I totally agree with you. The little bit I've been involved in this so far, there's a lot of things that we have to get leveled off on both sides of us. We actually had a meeting 2 weeks ago with Larry, the owner, and his son. So we're on the process of doing that.
Yeah,
The other thing is very confusing because they call it Todd County roll-offs or whatever, and it's not Todd County, it's Long Prairie Sanitation.
Right.
And I had a gentleman ask me about that, and I showed it right to him on the bend. It said Long Prairie Sanitation, it's not
Right.
Todd County, yeah.
well, I think it would improve the recycling if we all got on the same page.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe improve the process and everything, so.
yeah. It's really been, for me, being fairly new to this, it's amazing how much recycling gets done, though. It's really good to see.
Yeah, and
Yep.
I think it's been a need and a want for a long time, but,
Yep.
and I guess we were always told that recycling does cost us a lot of money, but, at least we're getting rid of the garbage.
Yep,
And in the proper way, so.
right. It's not in our ditches and
Right.
everything else.
And I think the recycling bins where you got them located right now, they've been getting used quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Clearly marked,
Yep.
yep.
I think, the cardboard and the plastic, the cardboard roll-offs that we have down below, we dump them 3 to 4 times a week. So they get filled up that much, besides of what we can from outer county. And the plastic pop bottles and that kind of thing, I mean, we dump probably 1 container a week, so that's 30 yards, besides what we're taking in, and that's just at that facility. So it's really been welcome.
Any other questions for Mike?
Mr. Chair, just a,
I'm sorry.
sorry about that, just a comment on Mike's review of this. Mike has done a great job of getting his staff involved in the layout and also the haulers. So thank you to Mike for getting all that input as we go through this process.
Now, we haven't had a board meeting out there for a while, so I guess I would like to ask that we have a board meeting out there so we maybe could go through this a little more thoroughly and.
Mr. Chair, that was actually scheduled for today's meeting to choose that date, but with Commissioner Erickson out, we decided to
Yeah.
wait until the 19th.
Okay.
So that'll be coming.
Well, I know we kind of discontinued during COVID, but it was kind of,
Any other questions for Mike?
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you're
All
doing.
right, thank you.
And with that, we will call this meeting over.